So I think that instead, and you pitched this, we should instead do a ranking that actually can be like defined because they're all in the same weight class. Now, Khabib leads the sport, and the question is he the greatest lightweight champion we've ever seen? Because as you brought up to me last night, he does not have any more title defenses than any other lightweight champion.
This is correct. I've spent the day.
He is in a four-way tie.
Spent the day doing some research. So I'm gonna hit y'all with some cold hard facts real quick, and then we shall discuss them. All right. So we're gonna be discussing 4 UFC lightweight champions. All 4 of them had 3 title defenses. All right. First up, there was BJ Penn, then Frankie Edgar, then Ben Henderson, and last Khabib. So I'm not going to be talking about the fights where they won the belt. I'm just going to be talking about their title defenses.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start. BJ Penn, 3 title defenses, 3 finishes. A TKO, a submission, and a TKO over Sean Sherk, Kenny Florian, Diego Sanchez. Frankie Edgar, 3 title defenses, a unanimous decision, a draw, and a KO. BJ, Gray Maynard, Gray Maynard. Ben Henderson, 3 title defenses, 3 decisions. Split decision, unanimous decision, split decision. Frankie, Nate, Gilbert. Khabib, 3 title defenses, 3 finishes, all 3 submissions, Connor, Dustin, and Gaethje. Okay, so of these 4, right out of the gate, I think unquestionably it's questionable. It's arguable, but this is my own personal list. Khabib has the strongest resume of title defenses of these 4 champions. Mm-hmm. Now, it can be argued that the only other person that can really challenge him is BJ Penn. BJ Penn and him both finished all of their title defenses, and they were against the best guys at the time, and they were really dangerous guys. Frankie Edgar defended against Gray Maynard twice. One of them was a draw, and the other one was the BJ Penn rematch. Ben Henderson's were just god-awful, though clearly last. I mean, his split decision against Frankie, I thought he lost. The split decision against Gilbert Melendez, I thought he lost. And he got a unanimous decision against Nate Diaz, who didn't deserve to be in a title fight.
Hey, man. Hey. Hey, Vincent Henderson, the split decision king, man.
That was and the Fox King, because they couldn't sell pay-per-views with him. So all his title fights were main events on Fox. So overall, my power rankings, right? I've got Khabib, best title defense record in the UFC against the 3 strongest opponents, finished all 3 of them. Next up, I have BJ Penn, 3 finished all 3 of his guys. After that, Frankie Edgar, and then last, Ben Henderson. What do you got?
So for me, looking at this list, the only lightweight champion's resume that I can really, and you already hinted at it, I can really take anything away from is Benson Henderson's. I don't think that at the time Nate Diaz was necessarily an undeniable force in the lightweight division. Gilbert Melendez, I mean, you can, by the nut, he challenged twice for lightweight belt, so he's a perennial contender. So I would count him as a serious contender. And I think that Frankie Edgar largely fought the best guy available for his title defenses too, because myself, I'm a little biased. I didn't think he won the first fight against BJ Penn, so when he defended his belt against BJ Penn, I thought he was fighting the best guy available. Gray Maynard at the time was clearly, he drew with him. He was Gray Maynard. Gray Maynard was equally the best in the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, I go back to what you're saying, and it's because there's two ways you can think about a greatest lightweight list. Is it strength of schedule, or are you taking a look at the skills they have, and who would win in a four-man tournament? Penn, Edgar, Bendo, and Khabib, all of them in their prime. That is a completely different discussion. One that I still largely feel that Khabib wins.
Yeah.
But as far as resumes, I think it's much closer, and I err on the side of Penn, just because not that the shot of Connor's against Khabib was unwarranted, because Connor had a belt and it got stripped, and the lineal belt was still with Connor. But he was definitely not the best guy available. He's a very good guy. He was definitely a top 5 lightweight that was available, but it's been the continual story of the Khabib story. Tony Ferguson's out there and he's real. So when that fight goes down, there's someone else that could have gone in for Connor. It probably would have been a Tony. And also, that's one thing that's a little bit unsatisfying about a title reign like Khabib's, where you do feel like there is a guy out there that was the boogeyman and could very well have beaten him. Whereas with Penn, Shirk was the former champion. He got stripped. He did a little bit of the old drugs. And, it's UFC, baby. Get him back in there. Give him another shot of that belt, boy. Get him back in there. 5 rounds. We know you up to it, Shirk. Then you had Florian, another guy who was undeniably the second best lightweight in the world. And then you had Sanchez, again, who at the time was undeniably the second best lightweight in the world. And I just flip back and forth in my mind all the time on this, because after you sent me this list, I was just going and I was like, man, I think it might be Penn, but damn it, Khabib is so good. Skill for skill, it's clearly Khabib. Khabib is the best lightweight we've ever seen. As far as strength of schedule, I think it's debatable, and I think it's a toss-up between Penn and Khabib. But I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna go with Penn, because that's my favorite fighter of all time. So that's.
Well, this is going to transition perfectly to our next segment of shaking out the lightweight division, the top 5 at lightweight, now that the title is going to be vacant, because this is going to tie back into that last section, because right out of the gate, before we even get into the breakdown of all this shit, I'm just going to tell you right off the jump, with Khabib removed from the scenario, lightweight is left with five people to contend for the belt right now. Connor, Tony, Dustin, Gaethje, and Michael Chandler. Now, who just came over from Bellator. So they're making a big fuss up, right?
Yeah.
I heavily favor Connor to beat all those guys. I would, if every single one of those guys, I would favor Connor in a matchup with all 4 of the other 4 guys, which is why I think that Connor, at the time being the lineal champion, was the right opponent over Tony being the interim champion. And I still think he is the most dangerous guy there, which is why I think that was probably of these 3 title defenses. I think Connor was the most dangerous of all 3 of them.
Wow. Well, I mean, Connor's clearly dangerous. I just am not sure. So out of those 5 men, because I don't think we have. Yeah, Chandler is not in the rankings yet.
Chandler's not.
He'll probably be in the rankings on Monday. You think?
I'm assuming they don't put him in the rankings until he fights somebody. It's pretty
Right.
clear they
Okay.
want to put him in a number one contender fight. I'll say that, right? So
Yeah.
in
I
my
mean,
shake,
they're probably paying him enough. I mean, there's
oh yeah,
like,
in my shake, we'll get into the shakedown of how I do this bracket real quick because I think they're going to want to put Michael Chandler in a number one contender fight, not in a title fight right out of the gate. So I'm going to book Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson. Book that fight. That is going to be co-main event to Connor, Dustin 2, which is now going to be for the vacant lightweight belt. I'm doing that because both of those guys are coming off of wins. You have Gaethje fresh off of a loss to Khabib. Gaethje also lost to Dustin Poirier, so I would put Dustin slightly ranked above Gaethje right now. Tony also coming off of a loss, which is why I'd put him against Chandler instead of putting him in a title fight. Who's the odd man out? Gaethje, right? Gaethje literally just fought, and they're talking about booking this Connor and Dustin fight for January. So 2 months.
yeah.
Gaethje, just chill. You just sit for right now. You do in January, Connor, Dustin 2 for the belt, co-main event, Tony, Chandler. Anything happens to anyone else can hop in. After those 2 fights shake out, then you throw Gaethje in there. His next fight can be against one of those guys for number one contender or whatever. But that is how I would shake this thing out. Now it gets dangerous when you start talking about throwing the lightweight belt back around Connor because we could real quick get back into a situation of he literally wins the belt and is like, all right, I'm gonna go box Manny Pacquiao now and screw this whole thing all up.
I don't think that call me naive, but I think that we are truly dealing with a different McGregor than we had when he held the lightweight title.
I hope so.
I mean, I hope so too, but I also think so. I think that the Pacquiao, I honestly, I think, now that we're a couple weeks removed from it, 2, 3 weeks removed from it, I think the Pacquiao talks were a cry for help for McGregor of like, dog, I am literally willing to do anything to fight.
Just want to fight.
I just want to fight. I am
Yeah.
willing to go box Manny Pacquiao in the Middle East. That's what I'm willing to do.
And even before this, he was willing. He was going to fight Dustin for nothing. There was no belt involved, no interim belt or anything. He was totally fine fighting Dustin in a main event for nothing, right?
Yeah, and I think that the UFC might have trouble retroactively turning that into a title bout.
It hasn't been signed yet, so that
okay.
Hasn't been signed yet.
Oh, we're in there. I actually, I would really love to see. I would love to see Gaethje Chandler. I would love to see Gaethje Chandler because they both just. So granted, Chandler didn't fight, but Gaethje didn't take that much. He has a cut on his like eyelid or something. He had a cut on his eyelid, but other than that, the dude didn't take that much damage. They both just kind of did a fight week around the same time, and I think that a guy coming off a loss. I think Chandler's the perfect guy. I think they're both perfect for each other at the time of their careers right now. Because I'm not sure. Ferguson really, to me, is just such an odd man out because he's not. This is the thing: is that Ferguson. Listen, people think he's weird. I ultimately don't think that Ferguson is that marketable on his own.
No.
What made him marketable was that he was the real life boogeyman in the lightweight division because he just kept winning. And now that mystique is gone, I just don't see him getting the preferable matchups that and I'm not talking about like building back up kind of matchups. I'm talking about like uh enviable spots, enviable matchups on and spots on cards, and I just don't think he's that marketable.
No,
Which is why I
not
think that of all the people in this little round robin we're talking about, he's gonna be the one that is, ah, you know,
yeah.
fill in. You okay? We did the stuff with the pieces that we really wanted to do, and now I guess we can put Tony there. Like
Yeah,
I just don't feel like they're gonna push him very hard.
I can see it.
Yeah.